Today, we are going to unpack a really beautiful, timeless story about the incredible power that our words hold. It's a tale that shows how language can either build someone up or completely tear them down, and not just people, but all living beings.
Just think about that for a second. That feeling when a harsh comment or an unkind word just completely saps all of your energy, all your motivation. I think we've all been there. Well, that exact feeling is right at the heart of the story we're exploring today.
So, this story actually begins not in some distant past, but with a very real problem the Buddha was dealing with at the time. See, there was this group of 6 monks who were, well, let's just say they were unruly. They were constantly causing trouble with their harsh, disruptive, and just plain mean language.
So, to get his point across, the Buddha didn't just give them a stern lecture. No, he did something much more powerful. He gave them this direct warning, and then he told them a story from one of his own past lives to show them exactly how potent and how dangerous unkind words can truly be. And that story is the Nandavisala Jataka.
And just like that, we're transported back in time, into the story itself, to the ancient city of Takasila. This is where we meet our two main characters, a very poor, elderly Brahmin, and this special young ox he was raising. But this wasn't just any ox. This was a Bodhisattva, a future Buddha in animal form. Now this right here is absolutely crucial. This was not a master and animal relationship. The Brahmin had no other family, and so he poured all of his love and affection into this creature, Nandavisala, treating him truly like he was his own child. And their connection was, well, it was extraordinary. They could actually communicate, understand each other's thoughts. And Nandavisala, being incredibly strong and loyal, saw how poor his father was. He felt this deep, profound sense of gratitude and was absolutely determined to use his strength to pull the Brahmin out of poverty. So, get this. It's the ox himself, Nandavisala, who comes up with a plan, and it's a bold one. A high-stakes plan to make the Brahmin a very, very rich man, all in a single day. The plan was as simple as it was audacious. Nandavisala told the Brahmin to go find the richest, most arrogant merchant in the entire city and challenge him to a wager that his ox could pull 100 heavy carts, all tied together and loaded to the brim. So, to make the bet, the poor Brahmin had to scrape together every last coin he had, even borrowing from friends. The wager was for 1,000 gold coins. We're talking his entire life savings and then some. And what was the challenge? To pull 100 carts, all chained together and loaded down with heavy sand and gravel. I mean, the stakes could not possibly have been higher for what seemed like a completely impossible feat of strength. Okay, so picture the scene, right? The whole city has come out to watch this spectacle. People are laughing, they're pointing, they're placing bets against them, yelling that this old man is a total fool. The pressure is just immense, and the poor Brahmin, who's already been sleepless with worry, he just starts to crack. And as Nandavisala stands there, ready and waiting for the signal, the Brahmin, just completely consumed by panic and the fear of losing it all, he loses his nerve. He grabs the reins and screams these horrible words at the animal he loves like a son. He's hurling insults, accusations, just pure fear talking. And the result? It was immediate. It was devastating. Hearing these cruel, hateful words from his father, Nandavisala was just heartbroken. This is such a perfect illustration of a deep truth, isn't it? Motivation isn't just physical. His spirit was completely crushed by the shame and the sting of those words. And with it, his will to act just vanished. He stood there, stock still. And the Brahmin? He lost everything. So that night, the Brahmin isn't just grieving his lost fortune, he is drowning in shame and regret. He can't eat, he can't sleep, he just keeps replaying that awful moment of panic over and over in his head. And it was then that Nandavisala came to him, not to gloat, but to teach. This is the absolute key. Nandavisala makes it crystal clear. Hey, this wasn't a failure of my body. It was a failure of your words. For the Brahmin, this was a massive psychological shift. He finally realized his words weren't just sounds. They were forces. Forces that had a direct, real-world impact, capable of breaking the spirit of the strongest being he knew. He finally understood his terrible, terrible mistake. And this just lays out the core lesson so brilliantly, doesn't it? The carts, the weight, the challenge, all of that was exactly the same. The only variable, the only thing that changed between a crushing defeat and a stunning victory was the words. Now, filled with remorse, but also this powerful new understanding, the Brahmin goes right back to that rich merchant and he says, "Let's do it again. But this time, we double the bet." See, now he was confident, not just in his ox's physical strength, but in the power of his own speech. So they set the stage for round 2. You've got the same curious crowd, the same 100 heavy carts, the same incredible challenge. But this time, everything was different. Instead of insults born from fear, the Brahmin approached Nandavisala with pure love. He stroked his back and spoke these words of encouragement, of trust, of affection. He was empowering him, letting him know he believed in him completely. And what do you think happened? With his spirit just soaring from those kind and loving words, Nandavisala gives this one mighty pull and drags all 100 carts as if it were absolutely nothing. He won the bet, earning the Brahmin a fortune and winning the admiration of the entire city. So after finishing the story, the Buddha brings it all full circle. He reveals the past lives of the characters to those unruly monks. The Brahmin, the one who learned this incredibly hard lesson about speech, was reborn as his chief disciple, Ananda. And that powerful, kind-hearted ox, Nandavisala, well, that was none other than the Buddha himself. And with that, he brings the lesson home. The moral of this incredible story is so simple, so direct, and yet so powerful. Speak kindly. Because pleasant words have the power to achieve the impossible, while harsh words can bring even the strongest among us to their knees. Which, of course, leaves us with this final thought. As you go about your day today, just think about the immense power that you hold. The words you choose, whether you're speaking to a colleague, a friend, a family member, or even a stranger, they have the very real ability to build a person up or to break them down. So the question is, which will you choose?